Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's perfect. I love that. Hit that. Let's see what's the picture.
Oh, we are live. Welcome to Small Biz Power. I'm Nina Radetich, your host for the evening. I'm just cracking up because Rich Jacovino, who owns the studio here, it's the Shoots and Google studio, he was playing some we'll call it interesting music to lead in. He said, well, as soon as the music fades,
Call it what it is.
Bob said, our guest, Bob said, it felt like we were walking into Olympic Gardens. That's all I have to say
Why would I
about
know
that.
that?
Why would you
what
know
does
that,
say about
Bob? Oh, we can't wait to talk to our guest tonight. We're so happy to have you here. This is going to be a great, fun-filled show. Lots of stuff to cover.
Is this unprofessional when I do this?
Yeah, a little bit unprofessional.
Okay.
Are you? Kendall's trying to take over already. So why don't we just introduce him at this point?
All right, about time.
I know.
We're like a minute into the show already.
A minute? I haven't even said a word really yet. My guest host tonight is the lovely and talented, like my brother, Kendall Tenney. You are like my brother.
I
right?
know, it's true. I didn't have. I had 4 brothers growing up, so I
Yes.
didn't ever have a sister. I guarantee you, if I had a sister, it would be Nina.
Right. I pester
Because-
you to pieces,
Well, no,
right?
there's this love that goes on, but there's this bickering that continues for all these
There
years.
is.
But it's great.
There is.
Yeah.
How is we sold my old car to you so your daughter could
To
drive
tell
it.
ya.
Yes. How is it running?
It's 208,000
I
miles.
love that Acura. That's a
208,000
That's a great
miles
car.
for a car.
Right.
The thing is, I had to drive it for a week because I sent my car with my son who was going on a road trip, and I didn't want to take in his old car,
Yeah.
so I sent him one. Anyway, I had to drive your old car for a week. Now, it's
How'd
a nice
that go?
car.
I know it's a little old though.
It's
yeah.
old. Yeah. I wanted my car back so bad.
It's an acid.
So bad, yeah.
So
It was-
ready.
I was ready. I
Well-
was ready to get it back.
Well, we have a lot to talk about tonight.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
super
gonna be fun.
excited. You're enjoying a Dr. Pepper. I'm enjoying a glass of wine, as usual. We've got a very cool announcement about this show that I'm going to share with you guys in a second. We're also going to talk to Kendall a little bit about the recent PR debacle in connection with United Airlines, because he's got a great take on that.
Did anything happen to them?
Yeah, something did happen, and it was all over social media, and I suspect that you know something
All right,
about that.
I'll study up on it.
We're also super excited to have as our guest tonight Robert Massi. You may know him as Bob Massi. You've probably seen him on Bob, say him
Bob's
right?
good.
Yeah.
Bob's good.
You've probably seen him on Fox News Channel. He is the Fox News legal analyst, and he also has a local law practice. We're going to talk a little bit about both of those with him. What we're going to talk about too is the Las Vegas Raiders' choice to move to Las Vegas. A lot of people are super excited about that, and some people, Kendall Tenney, have different opinions about that. So we want to sort of dive into that and get your thoughts on it as well. So feel free to pipe in the comments. We're also going to talk to Bob about distracted driving. April is Distracted Driving Awareness Month. And man, I mean, you know how we all are on these phones all the time. Texting, driving, even the hands-free thing. So let's talk a little bit about that, the dangers of that, and what we can all do to make that better. But first, let's start with the exciting announcement about Small Biz Power. If you've been watching the show for a while, I think this is episode 10. So super excited about the milestone episode, but also I have decided to put Small Biz Power on iTunes, so it is now a podcast as
great.
well.
Big time.
And we're really we're thrilled about that, because this allows you to download the show on the go, so you can listen to it on your iPad, or you can listen to it on your phone while you're working out. We try to bring you value. The whole goal with Small Biz Power is to highlight the engine of our economy, the small businesses here, and to help introduce you to some of these entrepreneurs who really are doing amazing things, and hopefully you get to learn from them as well. So check out Small Biz Power on iTunes. One of the things that I would love from you guys at home that would really help me a lot is if you go to Small Biz Power on iTunes and you write a review for us. That will sort of bump us up and allow us to be a little bit more visible on iTunes, so that we can give the guests the love that they deserve. And so I would really appreciate it if you would hit the review button.
Good review.
Good review?
You want a
Well,
good review.
my whole goal in asking you for a review
That's what a
would
brother
be
would say.
hoping that you would give us 5 stars. 4 or above would be preferable. Okay.
He is your brother.
Okay, isn't
Yeah,
it
he's
though?
your brother.
Needle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Isn't that
Oh,
just
yeah,
isn't that how it
absolutely.
is?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know.
Just
All right.
poke pokes, all love.
So And the interesting thing about podcasting, and this is one of the things that I would love to talk to you about because it has changed the face of public relations. Kendall Tenney, as many of you know, left the television news business in 2010, but you've recently gone back and you now are a host on the Channel 8 show Las Vegas Now. You also are the CEO and founder of Tenney Media. And what you guys do is you help people with public relations, crisis communications, and the like.
Yeah.
This whole podcasting thing has really taken off as of late. I just read a report that podcasting is growing by leaps and bounds. It's unbelievable the number of people that are listening to content on the go. And one of the things in the report that I found interesting was that 40% to 45% of people that listen to a podcast listen to most of it or all of it.
Yeah.
So if you are a business owner, this is something that you want to be creating, but it's also changed the face of PR because you're not just pitching traditional media anymore. You're looking for opportunities in the digital space too, right?
Yeah, and to me, a lot of it's counterintuitive because in my seminars all the time, I talk about a recent study Microsoft did. Actually, I did one in 2010 that said the average attention span of an American is 12 seconds. And
Seriously?
yeah, but they updated that. They updated it last year. Now the average attention span of someone living in the U.S. is 8 seconds.
Are you kidding?
8 seconds. A goldfish, by the way, has an attention span of 9 seconds. So a goldfish has us beat as far as attention spans. But these podcasts are often built like yours. And I think what you're doing is brilliant. I'm so excited that you're doing this because I look at the podcasts, the ones that are successful. Maybe they go 45 minutes, maybe they go an hour and a half, sometimes 2.5 hours, just depending on how conversations are going.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating. I've stumbled onto some recently. The beauty of podcasting is that people are specifically tuning in to hear what you have to say. And that's awesome.
It's a branding.
I mean, as a PR guy, I want to put my clients in a position where people are specifically going to listen to what they have to say. I just had a client that was on Joe Rogan's show. Joe Rogan has a podcast. I had
That's a good get right there.
It was a huge show. I guess he has more than 1 million listeners every week.
Easily, okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
a podcast.
I didn't even know it was there. And yet 1 million, 2 million, sometimes 3 million people are tuning in to listen to this and watch it in some cases.
It's traditional media is there's no real definition of what traditional media is anymore.
No,
I mean,
media
it's
is media.
changed.
Yeah, new media doesn't exist anymore. It's all media.
One of the great things too about podcasting for business owners is you have the ability, you have a vehicle to have a conversation with somebody that you really want to talk to from a business perspective without having a sales conversation.
So you're just doing this to milk people for information.
Pretty much.
That makes sense. That's brilliant.
If you wanted to work with somebody, how better than to build a relationship than to say, I would love to learn more about you. Will you come on and talk about you?
Right.
Because that's a relationship builder, if anything, and it's not a fake thing. It's a true. I want to know, and that's the great thing about this, compared to traditional media, is we can go. Well, we have all the time in the world.
No, that's
right?
just it. Sometimes you're an hour, sometimes you're an hour and a half. Doesn't matter. And you'll be hitting up Bob for business during this show, right?
Is that why he's here?
Yes.
Oh, right. Okay.
I didn't realize
You had no idea why we really invited you there, Bob.
That's the whole thing. She just admitted it right there.
I'm just saying for people who are interested. See, you're
No, I'm sorry. No, yes, it is. I was all with you, and then I had to go snarky.
Right. Of course you did.
No, it totally is. It's revolutionary. And the fact that it's been around makes me sound like an old guy going, what's this new podcasting thing?
Right.
But to your point, it is really catching fire now.
It is.
And there are podcasts all over with even normal ones with 10, 20,000 listeners, which is a bigger audience. Bob, we were talking before the show, he's talking about how more people see him in his Facebook Live than maybe see him on television sometimes, which is crazy to think about, but true.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. And these are people, again, who are locked in on what you have to say instead of being in the background. Most of us have the TV on. It's on in the background. Sometimes we pay attention, sometimes we don't.
I'm cracking up because Melissa Marich says that Kendall is the GOAT, as in the greatest of all time.
Oh, that's so
I thought that was
kind.
in our household. That's reserved for Tom Brady.
Wow, to be mentioned
but
in the
you
same breath.
Yes,
Melissa, that was very nice of Melissa.
Yes.
How did you do that? I tried to pull your thingy up.
Yeah, I'm trying to do it.
So you have to refresh the page. Refresh the page, a little bit, and then scroll down, and then you should be able to. Oh, it's not refreshing. I wonder why.
My Dr. Pepper is refreshing.
It certainly is.
1947.
Yes, it's a vintage year.
It was a vintage Dr. Pepper. So digital media, we talked about how it's changed the face of PR. it's a blessing and a curse
Yeah.
for many companies.
Yeah.
It's a great medium for getting your message out and sort of controlling the message, but there is great potential for not being able to do so in the case of United Airlines. Talk a little bit about the background of what has happened over the last several weeks with them.
Yeah.
And if you were advising them, what would you tell
Well,
them?
it's so fascinating because I do work with lately a bunch of colleges that are in hot water with the media, and to your point, digital takes over, and so you have to work on making that message rock solid so that everybody in a corporation, or in this case on a campus, whatever it may be, understands what that message is. So there's no dissonance, that you don't have one person saying one thing and somebody saying something else, and everybody's on the same page. United Airlines, it was just last week, I think,
Yeah.
and this is how quickly things unfold. United Airlines, as everybody knows, kicked off the passenger because he was randomly selected to make room for some of the United crew that was going to be flying somewhere.
This was after the leggings incident, was it not? Wasn't there
Yes.
girls in the leggings?
Yes.
Wasn't
Was
that
that
United?
United too?
I thought it was United as well. I'm not. We'll double check.
I need to double check that. If so,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
It's been a
United's
double
taking
whammy from them.
United's
Yeah.
taken a beating. That's long forgotten for
Right.
most people because this one's so big.
Yeah.
So they, as everybody has seen probably the video by now, they drag the guy off the plane, they break his nose in the process, I think knock out a tooth or two. It just looks bad. It looks really, really bad. The problem and where they really just made huge mistakes, that happens. The first thing I do is put that CEO out there going, holy cow, this looks absolutely awful. We're horrified that this man was treated this way. We're going to get to the bottom of it. Basically, throw security under the bus as quickly as you can. Disassociate yourself. But say you're sorry. Empathize. And this is what I work with clients all the time. The first key is empathy. If you come across as human, you're going to be okay because you're.
But I think the first thing people want to do is get defensive because
Absolutely
they're in panic mode. They don't
Yes.
know what to do, and so I mean,
Yes.
you know, in the case of like BP Oil, remember that when that
Yeah.
CEO stood on front and said, "Oh, it's been the worst.
It's
few
been
days.
hard for my
It's really
family.
been horrible
Yeah.
for my family."
Yes.
Sorry.
Which is
Yeah.
what the United CEO did. He put out a statement and said, this has really been hard for United employees. Oh, really? I think it was hard for the guy that busted his nose and got
think?
thrown
Yeah.
off the plane.
Yeah.
And then he said, what was the term he used? I should be at the top of my head. They oh my gosh.
I don't remember the term.
I'm going to look it up in just a second so I
Okay.
can read
Yeah.
you. It was just fantastic. The verbiage was so sterile and lacked humanity. And it really didn't even address that this guy was really roughed up. And it was one of the worst non-apologies I've ever seen. And as soon as they showed it on the screen, I went, that's golden, because I do these seminars, and I'm like, that's manna from heaven.
Yeah,
for me.
that's what I'm
That's
going to use
beautiful.
as an example of what not to do.
Yes, I'm doing one in New Orleans this weekend. And I'm
Right.
like, oh yeah, that's going to be a focal point.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating to see that they came out with that statement. Then he came through with a second semi-apology that was horrible, and basically, again, threw everybody but United under the bus. And then finally, the third apology he got right. But by that time, most people were soured on United.
Yeah.
I think they could have avoided a lot of the flack. I think the video is going to trump everything. We always say the visual trumps anything else.
Yeah.
And that visual of a guy being dragged off a plane against his will after paying for a ticket, and he's not a violent passenger, is going to be hard to overcome. But the first step to overcoming it is apologizing and saying, wow, this guy should not have been treated this way. We're going to get to the bottom of this. We care.
So, and the bottom line is really having a plan when it comes to a crime. It doesn't matter if you are United or if you are, mom and pop store on the corner that, accidentally sold expired food, whatever the crisis is.
Yes.
I think the important piece is that if you're not prepared for something and you don't have a unified message and a unified front, because people call you when they're panicked.
Yes.
They don't call you to lay out let's talk about what happens in the case of. And,
Right.
and you can't prepare for everything.
Right.
But at least knowing that they have somebody in their corner.
And this is why, we offer people opportunities to prepare in advance, because everybody's going to be hit by it at some point. That really, nobody's immune to this. The key is, are you prepared, and do you have a message ready, and do you have an outside someone who can step in and say, let's keep perspective on this puppy?
Because when you're in it,
you're in it, it feels like the
It's a
world is
storm.
on top of you.
Yeah.
And making good decisions is next to impossible.
Right.
I just looked at a Harvard study that showed colleges that had negative press, a certain amount, suffered a 10% drop-off in enrollment the following year, which resulted in at least a 10-spot drop in college rankings. So that's big.
Wow.
I mean, that's clear evidence that you have a crisis, and what we found, or what Harvard found. I didn't,
What we found.
You know,
Me and my friends at
my
Harvard.
Harvard friends.
Yeah.
What the Harvard people found was the ones who did not address the crisis immediately and handle it and step out front and do what they needed to do and took their time and dragged their feet. It got worse, number one. And number two, they were 50% more likely to have another crisis within a year. Because they didn't handle the first one correctly. And it kind of opened them up to other crises. Look at what's happening to United now. They didn't handle it well. So now, just last week, we had a probably was pushing the envelope. But United has to know where they are.
In light of the recent...
Let somebody sit in the extra economy plus seats this one time to save yourself a little more bad PR. But it's obviously a culture problem at United. Nobody's talking to anybody saying, hey, maybe we should treat passengers like they're our friends and we care about them.
Right.
It's not happening.
Very few people think they need a PR guy in their corner until they have a crisis, or a lawyer.
There you go. There you
good.
go.
You like
Good
my
segue.
transition?
You still got it. You still got it.
It's pretty good. Dr. Pepper to the lawyer. What are you going to do, brother?
I want to introduce. It's so funny when we have two. Kendall's really you're the co-host, so you're going to answer questions and stuff, or ask questions and stuff of Bob.
Enjoy that very much.
But I don't want to keep you sitting here much longer.
No.
So
Hey,
I know
listen, I'm
Rich,
Italian. I could sit.
Rich is coming in to adjust the camera so we can get a 3-shot on you. But our special guest tonight is Bob Massi. He's the founder of the law firm Massi and Massi Attorneys at Law here in Las Vegas, Nevada.
The eponymous.
Yes. Where he's been practicing civil litigation since 1980.
It's pretty bad.
That's amazing. I love that. He recently joined forces with his son, Robert G. Massi,
Right.
to focus on personal injury, business law, real estate law, credit law, and wills, trusts, and probate. But you may also recognize him from his frequent appearances on Fox News Channel as their legal analyst. And Bob, I'm super excited that you decided to join us tonight.
I enjoyed that. I was thinking about some of the things you said. I think one of the greatest PR moves was Delta Airlines, who then came out and said, by the way, we will pay up to $10,000 if you get bumped.
Yeah, they lifted their ceiling.
They did.
So
yeah.
usually the ceiling's about $1,350.
Right.
That's the max.
Yeah.
So Delta comes and says, hey, by the way, fry the friendliest guys, up to 10,000. So one guy tweeted in and said, this is great because now I have a new job. I'm just going to fly over.
Wait to get bumped.
That's so smart.
But it's a bidding war.
The other thing, though, is I was not impressed with, no disrespect, to the lawyer that called the news conference. I didn't think it was necessary that represented the plaintiff.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done personal injury cases for many, many years. And I didn't think it was necessary for him to come out and say
100%.
anything. I mean, for what?
Why do you say that?
So agree.
Well, because the picture's worth 1,000 words. You have the video
Yes.
of being dragged. What do you have to come out and explain?
Yes.
What did you have to explain,
Did
man?
it hurt? Did it hurt this case?
I don't know if it hurt. Who knows? But it wasn't necessary. That's all I'm saying. And I think sometimes they get caught up in the moment
Yes.
and they want to be the star in the corner.
Yes.
The one thing they did that they should have done is they moved to preserve the evidence because there's a theory in the personal injury called spoilage. If that evidence disappears, it's presumed it was negligent. It was against the defendant, and therefore, if you go to a jury and say, "Hey, it's gone," it's presumed that video was against United Airlines. But in that United Airlines case, the guy got off the plane with his wife and came back on.
That's the part.
That's when he was dragged off.
Wow. Okay.
He was dragged off the second time, not the first time. So he goes out and realizes, wait a second, this is for 4 employees? Really? He goes back on the plane. And then they pull him out, and that's the end of the story. And,
But that's what doesn't get told when
get
stuff
told.
spreads like wildfire on social
And
media.
you know what? Let me tell you something. I mean, look, you're in the PR business, man. I mean, and I think you may agree with this. You could have the greatest statement. Like, let's say, I'm assuming they fired their PR firm. Okay. Because if they
I don't know if they had one.
maybe they did. But if they did, they should
They
have.
better.
Can I give you real quick my theory on this? And I don't know this for a fact.
Right.
I think they depended on in-house initially.
Probably
You
so.
cannot, in a crisis, you cannot depend
Get
on
outside,
in-house.
somebody
Yes.
outside the box.
Yeah.
But I think you'll agree, it's the messenger no matter what.
Absolutely.
And if the messenger is not a good messenger, you could write up the perfect statement.
Yes.
If they're not good optics and they don't come across sincere, with endearment and passion and compassion, forget about it. It doesn't matter what you're writing.
My man. Yeah.
So get the right person that's going to give
My
the
man.
message.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
And it's unbelievable to me, honest to God. You can't make this stuff up.
Well, we talk all the time about the keys to communication. Visual trumps everything.
Yeah.
It's like 80%
Yeah.
studies have shown of the communication
So if you go up
process.
there and then try to issue an apology like this,
yeah.
it's not going to work. Yeah.
Tone is the next part, and it's roughly, I should say visuals about 70%. Tone is about 20%. So if you go up there and go, yeah, we're real sorry, that's not going to work. What you say, to your point, Bob, it makes up about anywhere from 8 to 10% of the communication process. So nobody really cares what you say. It's how you say
Yeah.
it.
And remember, they're a common carrier. And by definition in my world, common carrier is buses, trains, planes, boats, who have a higher standard to treat the passengers better than normal. Now, there are some lawyers out there, I listened to some, that believe that, even if this case ever went to a trial, that they could very easily argue, you know what, the guy did not get off the plane and the rules are the rules, and when he refused to get off, they left him no choice. Good luck with that argument, but it's what we call a mitigation argument, okay? So in this situation, United Airlines, the biggest thing I think they have to worry about is what we call punitive damages, that the actions that they did were so reckless.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. Just handled, you can't handle it any worse than it was handled.
Agreed.
And then he goes on that interview with, I think it was ABC News. Oh my God, I'm saying to myself, isn't there somebody better? You don't necessarily have to have the CEO, do you?
You don't have to.
I mean, obviously,
it's
you want
best.
the captain of the ship.
You want the captain.
But if the captain of the ship can't sell the 8 to 9, then get
Absolutely.
somebody that's maybe he's sick for the day.
He's on a flight somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's
I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
So now, since that time, United and other airlines as well, but let's just talk about United, changed its policy.
Right.
So no longer are they going to bump passengers for flight crew members. It's not going to happen anymore.
Wow.
Does that help, or I would think hurt, United's case when they try to defend it in court? That when this guy
Not
says
admissible.
not admissible.
Because it happened after the
It's
fact.
a subsequent, it's what we call subsequent remedial repair.
Uh-huh.
It's not, the jury will never hear it.
Really?
Never. I mean, they'll hear it in the media.
Yeah.
But they'll never hear it.
That's interesting.
Because when you're a jury, if you slip and fall over there, sorry, and then
Sorry, Rich.
they fix the step after the fact, the jury will never hear that they fixed the step after the fact.
Okay.
You must prove the case on the merits of the
That's
case.
fascinating.
Story. So in this situation, obviously they're going to sit down, they're going to settle this case. What the value is, who knows?
Yeah.
It is what it
Cha-ching.
is. But yeah, I mean it's a number. It's going to be a
Yeah.
number. Their stock went down $250 million
Yeah.
in a day.
Yes.
That's a hit.
In a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you think the stockholders? What I said to myself is, how stupid? Why don't I call my stockbroker and buy short on United Airlines? I made a fortune, man.
It's true.
Come on,
True.
I'm covering it for Fox News. Oh yeah, the stock's gonna go down. Boy, you're smart, Massi.
Yeah.
Call it short stock. Oh, please.
Yeah.
So, speaking of Fox News,
Yeah.
let's talk about your path to becoming a Fox News legal analyst.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of attorneys envy that position, that you're very visible, and it's got to be helpful to running a law firm. Talk about how you started. You shared with me sort of your path here in Las Vegas.
1985, before my hair was gray, I had an idea.
Was it this long?
It was longer.
It was?
Oh my God.
Has it always been long?
Yeah, it's always been long. Yeah. My brothers were bald, so I had to go.
For compensation.
Show gratitude.
Exactly. So I came up with this idea: people should be informed on the law, and I put a video together: how to get out of jail, what to do in an accident, and how to find a lawyer. Now, the funny part about this, and I actually called George Knapp the other day. I said, George, you got to help me find this video because I don't know where it's at. And Bob Stodall's looking for me too. I actually hired actors, and we're out in Henderson.
You hired actors?
Oh, we did. Oh my God!
Oh.
And I had no money. My father helped me. We go to the Henderson, where where all the cars are, out there, where we're in accidents. And I go out there and have, honestly, if I could find it, I'll bring it to you.
I
Watch
can't
you.
wait to see this. Yeah.
I had a John Travolta white suit on.
Fantastic.
What color shoes?
Oh yeah, I had the whole deal. And I'm standing there with the machines that blow the smoke up.
No, this is beautiful. That's beautiful.
And I said, if you're in an accident, this is where you're going to end up. And I took it.
I got to. Oh my
I'll
gosh.
find it, I'm sure. Anyway, I took it and took it to all 3 local stations. And Bob Stodall said, let me look at this.
Bob Stoddall, who was news director at the time, where?
Channel 8,
Of
KLS,
Channel 8, yeah.
who, as you know, is legendary as
yep.
a news director, highly respected. And he called me a week later and he says, yeah, we're going to start the new news. And I started a new news at that time with Brian Gresh. who you
Yes.
know.
Oh, yeah.
Brian Gresh,
And,
yeah.
and of course, George Knapp would do it, and Gary and Paula. And I do the new news every, like 2-3 times a week. And I would just do, it was a teleprompter thing. I do landlord tenant stuff. I do if you're in an accident. And my saying at that time, which I still have trademarked, that's the law and it's your right to know. So people wouldn't even know my name. You're the guy who says that's the law and it's your right to know.
That's
Fantastic.
great
I was
branding.
there for over 6 years. And then Bob left, and I left there and did some other local channels. And then in 1995, I read that Fox News, this company was starting, a cable channel, and I sent a video in, and I get a call about 10 months later from Mr. Roger Ailes.
Wow.
And he says, hey, kid, I like your style. Your hair's a little long. He said, we're going to put you on the air. And that was 21 years ago.
That's fantastic.
That's an amazing story.
I mean, it's providential for me. I mean, my mother was dedicated to the Blessed Mother. So I went to Mount St. Mary's College in Emmitsburg, Maryland. I went to St. Mary's University in Texas. She says, you're always staying next to the Blessed Mother, you're a good Catholic boy and an altar boy.
Amen. Right.
So anyway, I mean, it's been a great experience for me. And I'll tell you what's been the best. As you all know, being in the business, there's always these little ledges that push you forward. So I'm at the Claim Jumper in 2005 having lunch with Jack Sheehan. And you know Jack.
yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And when you're with Jack, you don't really talk because Jack is he's the ultimate host and entertainer, right?
You don't talk? Wow, that's
You know Jack.
impressive.
It's like dueling banjos.
I get a call from New York, a gentleman who's one of the executives. He says, hey, what are you doing? I said, I have a lunch with a buddy of mine. He says, well, we're going to send you to the Scott Peterson trial. I said, you're
Unbelievable.
kidding me. I said, no. We're going to take you out of the chair and send you up to cover the trial. So I covered Scott Peterson trial for a year. From there, I did Michael Jackson.
Wow.
I did Casey Anthony. I did the Unabomber. I did Robert Blake.
Wow.
So every major trial that you've seen, I've been there.
Okay,
And,
so what I
and I got
have
to tell you a great story
Okay.
about Scott Peterson, by the way. Go
Okay,
ahead.
but I have to ask you
Yes.
because this isn't something, and this is something that I ask a lot of my guests, and men don't talk about this as much, I think, as women do.
What's that?
But you said that pushed you to your ledge. What was that like going to the Scott Peterson trial? Did you have confidence? Did you have doubts? Did you have what? How did you feel?
I have this theory that, remember we were kids and we were on a playground, and like the kids that were jerks when they were kids, they were probably jerks at 50,
Yeah.
and the things you were good at when you were young, you're good at.
Yeah.
I mean, I think all of us probably never had that much anxiety getting up and speaking impromptu. I never had any anxiety,
That's great.
and they trusted me with that.
Yeah.
And so I went up and I covered this amazing case, and after the trial, as you know, you get sometimes to talk to the jurors. Well, there was a juror on there. She had this long strawberry hair, and we all the media people, we called her Strawberry Shortcake. So after the verdict, we get a chance to talk to the jurors, and we start asking questions. And I said, what did you hang your hat on? What is it? Because it was all circumstantial.
Yeah.
They never proved how she died.
Yeah.
And she said, did you happen to see how his bed was made? And we look and said, what are you talking about? He said, no woman made that bed in the master bedroom. A man made that bed. And we're looking at each other saying, are you kidding me?
She based her decision on that.
The theory
Whoa.
was that she went out to the bay and he came back and she loved sunflowers. So there was activity on the computer that next morning with buying like a purse with sunflowers on as if she was alive. Okay. And so he came back that night, and the bed was made, obviously, the next day. There was never any testimony about a bed, but there were pictures of the room and the computer, all this kind
Attorneys
of stuff.
never brought it up.
Never.
Wow.
Never brought it up. And that was one of the things. Now, you talk about how people pick up certain things. So the most amazing part of that day was when Sharon Rocha, the mother of Stacey
Peterson,
that just sat and she looked at him and you could hear a pin drop. And she said, divorce was an option, not murder. And everybody was crying in the courtroom. It was amazing. It was an amazing trial.
Yeah.
And the antithesis of that was Michael Jackson, where people dressed up every day like Michael Jackson.
That's so strange.
That was a circus.
So it was a total circus, huh?
It's crazy. I remember one day, and if I'm talking, let's just tell me.
No, this is fascinating. I love this.
Fascinating story.
I remember one day, if you remember when Michael Jackson came into the courtroom with his pajamas on.
Yes.
Yes.
So he got sick, and they took him to the hospital. And so, as you know, they move all the satellite trucks to where the hospital is. There's 1,000 satellite trucks that weigh like 100,000 pounds, right? Everybody's scurrying. And I remember I was on, I think I was on Shep, one of them, I don't know. And I said,
I love Shep Smith.
yeah,
That's just,
oh, he's wonderful. He revolutionized anchors on television.
Yep.
I said, you know, Shep, this is funny. I said, we're Michael Jackson's behind me, and I said, Pope John Paul II's dying in Rome, and we haven't said one word about it.
Wow.
It was true.
Yeah.
That's when he was dying.
Yeah.
We're covering Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
People actually quit their jobs and came to watch that trial, and I would do the early shift. I would start like 4 in the morning, and I would go all day till 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And they were there at 3, 4 in the morning. It was a lottery system to get into the courtroom. SWAT teams up all around the courthouses because there was always concern. And Tom Mesereau, who's probably the greatest lawyer I've ever seen in my life in a courtroom, demolished them from the opening statement to the end of the case. And after he cross-examined the mother of the children, the case was over. Everything after that was just, it was over.
What do you make of this obsession with these celebrity trials?
Well, you know, I just think people, I mean, look how people hold on to what celebrities do, from fashion to political opinions now to all these different things. And when you have somebody like a Michael Jackson, who was an icon, but Lacey, I mean, look, Lacey, that was a trial. This was the girl next door. And not only that, she was pregnant with a baby. Why would you do that? Why would you even consider doing it? Felt so bad that every day his mother would come in on oxygen, and mother and father sat there every single day watching this trial. And the other very telling moment was Amber Fry when she testified, you know, the girlfriend. And that was like Gloria walked in, you know, with her, and it was just, those are moments that, and when you say how it changed my career, because it goes from sitting behind a chair doing it to going up and covering it and having the confidence to do it.
Well, when I hear about that, when I hear you've done that, how did that impact your law practice day to day when you're out there for long stretches of time?
It was tough. It was tough because I was very honest with my clients back then, and we haven't had a lot. Matter of fact, it's terrible to say this, but we always say, well, is there another celebrity going to get killed or is killed? We're going to do it again. It was always California, of course, except Casey Anthony. But it was difficult, but I was very honest with my clients. I would come back on the weekends. I'd literally fly back on the weekends, and I would meet with my clients on the weekend. I'd go back, and the nice part about my career now with Fox News is they actually built a studio in my office, so when I'm on live, I walk 30 feet from my personal office, turn on a thing, call New York, and when we do the show that I have, we'll take maybe 2 weeks out of, you know, as you guys know, you get a crew, bang, you go out and you bang it out, and we did 12 shows in 3 weeks, and it's done. It's in the can, and the hard part's for them to do the editing, you know.
It's fantastic.
So it's been very, I've been very blessed with it, and I've learned a lot from it, and you really get to learn the pulse of the people. I mean, you know, we're all been in news. People don't. The one thing I want to ask you though, because this is something that everybody talks about, but a lot of the wonderful ladies that I've met over the years in show business, and because it is entertainment.
Yeah.
Did you get like a lot of calls if you changed your hair?
Oh my! Oh my!
Oh my God! I hear the stories. I mean, not with me because it hasn't changed.
Yeah.
But I'm saying you hear these stories, or maybe you didn't wear the right tie or something. But
They never got. You never got. You
Yeah,
rarely. I mean, there was the one lady that always thought he had black shoe polish in his hair. And
She thought I dyed my hair. She was convinced.
Very frustrated.
She would leave voicemails. Kendall, get that ugly black shoe polish out of your hair.
I mean, he would play the voice.
But the women are tough, aren't they?
They had it was so unfair.
Yeah,
There's
it's
such an
very unfair.
imbalance because guys are not, I think, judged the same way that women
no
are.
question.
Yeah, but you and Beth would change a hairstyle, get a haircut, whatever. And
I was keeping a file for a while because I found them very entertaining because I thought, the time to actually look up my email and write this stuff.
that.
One of my favorites was just a simple email from a guy that said pink in December. And I remember thinking, what I don't.
Was there some rule that we don't know about?
December, gosh, I'm not up on the rules. So I mean, it was always strange, you know.
The other thing that's changed dramatically is a lot of the viewers don't know how many lawyers are anchors all over the country and all the networks.
That's true.
It's just remarkable.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all over the country anchoring, and a lot of people never know that they're lawyers.
Yeah.
They just got out of the law business and went into the media business.
Yeah.
you know?
How has the visibility affected your local practice?
Yeah, and I didn't mean to get on a tangent because you did ask that question because you are in a PR business, so you want a direct answer. I mean,
That's all right. I'll circle
Thanks for
back.
bringing me
I'll
around.
circle back for you.
It's been a blessing and a curse. I think on one hand, the blessing's been that people obviously hear and see the things I do because I do stuff for local Fox. On the other hand, I think people see it as a celebrity thing, which I don't view myself as. And I'm there every day in my office with my son, and I work. And I'm like, here, I have 3 children, my wife and I, 39 years. I got 5 grandchildren in town. So I go home and do everything else. But yeah, from that perspective, that's slow. He's too expensive.
But people don't even know, might not even know that you're a practicing lawyer.
That's right.
Right?
A lot
I
of
mean,
people.
that's the-
A lot
yeah.
of people say, "Are you still practicing, or are you on TV all the time?" So, from a branding perspective, in your world, it's a hurdle to overcome. It's a hurdle to overcome. So, thankful to be on something like this. It gives me an opportunity to say, "Look, I have an active practice, and I know what I'm doing, and I'm here to help people and that kind of stuff."
How do you, in such a crowded field, I have some lawyers that are clients of mine,
course,
and
certainly.
and love working with them.
Of course.
But I wonder, it's really, really difficult to stand out from the crowd in the law field, and everyone's turning to online marketing. I mean, that's a big thing right now especially for law practices. How do you stand out from the crowd?
There's a couple things. My philosophy, honestly, from the 80s when I started, is my philosophy in business. And by the way, I owned Nutrisystem in the 80s. I had a restaurant in the 90s. It's crazy. I had travel agencies.
That's a
Ridiculous.
fascinating
It's
background.
ridiculous.
Yes.
But my philosophy in business is that I always want the people pushing me forward, and I don't want to be pushing against the people. So how I formulated that is I decided a long time ago that I just want to educate people on the law. I want to give them information. I want to let them know a lot of people can't afford a lawyer. A lot of people don't understand what a bankruptcy looks like or what a personal injury case looks like or the questions you should ask when you buy a home. Should you be an LLC or should you be a sole proprietorship? Should you be a joint? So my genre has been for the last 37 years now is go out and educate people. I had a very successful book I wrote in 2007, published by HarperCollins, called People Get Screwed All the Time. And I went all over the country, and I interviewed people that went through tragedies legally, personally, and I wrote their stories, and I had resolution and gave them tips. So my whole thing has been there's a very small percentage of people that could afford what we do. There's nothing inexpensive in my business. I mean, personal injury is always on a contingency, so there's no exposure for that person. But anytime somebody comes in, demographically, I have to talk to the people and say, look, I don't want you to see me at a restaurant and want to put poison in my food. I'd rather have you buy me a drink.
Right.
So understand the parameters. The biggest mistake businesses make, small businesses, when they come to me, I tell them there's 3 things you need. You need a banking relationship. You need a good tax person. You need a competent CPA. But most importantly, if this is your first venture into that, you better sit down and talk. Because businesses fail, even all 3 of that, because they're following a passion. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's the knowledge that you have to make it a success. I was in a restaurant business, and if it would have been a freestanding building, I'd have burnt it down to the ground. Because everybody's your partner. The busboy's your partner. The chef is your partner. The waitress is your partner. I mean, it's like, I used to tell them, listen, I know you're going to steal from me. I know that your family's going to come in, you want to give them free dessert, just tell me. But if you give them all the dessert, I'm out of business. It means you're out of a job.
Right.
So it didn't last long, and it was a good lesson for me, But that's what I try to educate businesses on, is just be careful. I don't want to take your dreams away. But get this, a lot of times, how many times have you had friends, they go to dinner, they say, oh, let's go into business. They have no legal advice. They have this. They don't want to spend the money. I say preemptively, it's cheaper to do it up front than on the back end. Because it's just too expensive.
Well, and the internet is making business ownership more accessible than it's ever been, and people who are starting online businesses have no idea about the ramifications of what goes on online, privacy, all of that.
And people are trying to turn into their own lawyers, and they do stuff on their own. Now, there's places for LegalZoom in those places.
Sure.
You know what? To me, it's America. Advertise, do what you want to do.
Yeah.
But sitting like this, me sitting down and you saying, hey, Bob, I'm a PR, this is what I think you should do. you hate ballers, you should do. That's what I want. The difference is my son's generation. He's 32 years old, the younger. Everything is email. Everything is this.
Everything.
We were talking about podcasts,
Yeah.
right? And I still tell him, Robert, there's nothing like face to face. I don't care what you say. I realize your generation, but until the baby boomers are dead, they want to see you face to face.
Well, it's so interesting from a marketing perspective because that's where business is done.
Absolutely.
And everybody talks about the internet, yes, driving leads, and I believe solidly in the internet being able to
Of
drive
course,
leads.
of
But how
course.
is the deal closed?
Face to face.
Right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that element of business is never going to go away, even with the pervasiveness of the internet.
I agree
Absolutely, yeah. The success we've had in my business comes when I go speak at a conference or a seminar. We pick up clients from that.
Sure you do.
Without even
Of
trying.
course.
But it's like because we have that face-to-face contact and interaction.
And I'll tell you what, I don't know how you feel about this, but I think people are really smart today, man. I think there's so much information out there. They're so educated. They're smart. They'll come in and be a pseudo lawyer. They may come in and be a pseudo PR guy.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because they read and they read, this guy did it, this guy. But so you have to be ready for that. I mean, I'll have people say, well, I was reading about it. I say, it's fine, read about it. Now, let me tell you the other side of the story, what you have to look at. You have to give people the whole perspective. And in my world, I always tell people there's three sides of the story, and the truth's in the middle, because nobody ever tells the truth 100%. There's no chance. If somebody tells me across from me, this is exactly how it happens, I look at them after I said, are you Catholic? Go to confession on Saturday, because you did not tell me what's true.
And what is the truth? So we're prisoners of our perspective.
Absolutely.
The story is told about Ford Theater where when Lincoln was assassinated, you've got an auditorium full of people. Nobody has the same story about what was said and what John Wilkes Booth did. They all had different perspectives.
Kendall, eyewitnesses are the worst thing you ever want because everybody has a different story. I always tell this. I tell a story on some of my closing arguments, depending upon the case. I tell about the 2,000-year-old man. I'll say to the jury, listen, let me tell you about the 2,000-year-old man. Could you imagine being 2,000 years old? I said he was asked to speak in front of elementary eighth graders, and they had to ask him, what's the greatest tragedy ever happened to him? One eighth grader stands up and says, 2,000 years old. What is it like? Was it the World War I, World War II? No, it wasn't that. Was it the Korean War? Was it the Vietnam? No. What about? They go through all these different tragedies. And he says, no, that wasn't a tragedy to me. And then one little boy says, what's the greatest tragedy ever happened to you? He said, I cut my finger. Because when something happened to somebody else, that was them. But when I cut my finger, that was a tragedy to me.
Yeah.
People, and I suspect in your world, people don't want to own up to their own deficits, and they sometimes have a hard time relying on the information you're even giving them. You don't know this guy from United Airlines. They may have given him exactly what he should do, and this guy goes on there. It's sort of like preparing a witness.
Yeah.
Can I tell you one quick story? And tell me just to shut up.
Your stories are great.
I represented this guy, and he got hit by a Brinks truck going up on Jones and Tropicana years ago. Tough guy from New York. Nice guy.
Literally got hit by a Brinks truck.
Brinks truck. As a matter of fact, no, he did. He got hit by.
That was just like something you throw
he,
out.
He got hit by a Brinks truck.
Oh my
Blew
God.
both of his knees out.
Jeez.
I stood up in front of the jury opening these days. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very unique case. I'm going to tell you why. This is what happened. This truck comes across. We believe they were negligent, and it's the first time my client could have collected right on the spot the money for I'm going to be asking you for.
So pull up the Brinks truck.
Open the back door and we're
great.
set. That's awesome. What is it like being in partnership with your son? This is a new venture.
It's
yes?
it's funny how history repeats itself. When we moved out here from Pittsburgh, my brother Albert and I, who was a lawyer, he's retired. I have the hair, he has the money. He said he had it when he needed it, and he grew through it. What can I tell you? We built some buildings on West Charleston in the late 80s. My oldest brother Jimmy actually worked with us. My mom and dad had a little business in the back of the building. So every day when our kids were growing up, they would come to the office. And my mom and dad was not only working with their 3 sons, but their grandchildren. And here it is, 2017. My oldest son's in the insurance business. My youngest son is a lawyer now. And I have a daughter who's a teacher's aide at Our Lady Las Vegas.
Great.
And every day, almost every day of the week, most days of the week, I see my grandchildren.
Oh, so great.
That's so cool.
That is so great.
Man, you can't write that any better.
No.
So what am I to complain about?
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, we've all been very lucky.
That's great.
For those of us
How many years have you guys been here, if I may ask?
I'm going on 21 this year.
From where originally?
Well, I grew up in Northern California.
You did?
Yeah, but I went to school in Southern California. And
What part of Northern?
San Rafael.
My 2 boys went to St. Mary's College in Moraga.
Okay, I know Moraga.
Beautiful
My
area.
cousins went there.
Beautiful area.
Yeah, for college.
And
It's
your
beautiful.
your home was Texas.
Yeah,
Dallas.
grew up in the Dallas area.
Great people.
Moved here in '94.
94.
Yeah.
It's been a little while.
It's
23 years
23
almost.
years. Can you believe?
Yeah.
Well, we still laugh about the fact that, when we first got here, because this is what you do in the news business. You're jumping markets, right? You
All the time.
So, I mean, this was market 85 or something when we got here. When I think when I finally left, it was down to 40 or 30 or something. But when we got here, we said, 2 years and we're out. Right?
Yeah.
And we went. We remember specifically going to the Christmas party.
Yes.
He and I both remember this.
Yeah.
And watching people get their 5-year pins, congratulations.
Really?
And saying to each other, if I'm here in 5 years, please shoot me.
Just
Yeah.
bang.
And there we were getting our 10-year anniversary pins going, remember that whole
15-year
conversation?
watch.
Oh, it was crazy.
But it just worked out,
this
things fall
town,
into place.
this,
a great town.
this city has been great to
I tell
us.
people all the time, people say, what do you have to say about Vegas? I say, well, here's what I say. First of all, if you don't like it, 15 goes north and south,
Right,
number one.
right.
Second of all, most places, it's who you know. Here, it's who knows you. It's the complete opposite of any other city in the country.
Yeah.
I've had guys and women that have come in this town, we're gonna shake this town, we're gonna change it. I say, you know what, you better take a deep breath because they've spit people out like you. And I was here in the 70s and 80s. So there's nothing like the 80s in Las Vegas. And small town, even in the 90s. Even who was sheriff in the 90s? Was
Keller.
that still?
It was
Oh, it was
Keller.
Jerry
Uh-huh,
Keller. That's right,
Keller.
Keller.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's still a small town. We still have wonderful families, like the Greenspun family did so much for this town. The Fine family, Molaskis. These are the Moran. They're great people who are the benchmark of what this town still stands for. And it's still the last frontier. I think it's still the last frontier. Except the Raiders are coming.
Did you ever? Well, great transition, Bob. Very good. Did you ever think we'd see this? Because I mean, a lot of changes are happening over the last couple of years. We got the Vegas Golden Knights starting at the end of this year. The Raiders 2019. At least that's what it
Maybe.
looks like.
Yeah.
Maybe, right?
I agree with that
There was
statement.
so much.
I agree with that statement.
Well, there was so much concern about the gambling piece.
Yes.
And corruption of the games and influencing the sport and all of that.
That's gone now.
What changed?
I think online gambling changed a lot of things, obviously. I think that we're now a city, we've become a city. I mean, look, when they built the Boulevard Mall, that was a great area. It's a tough area now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we have become a city where there's good areas, bad areas, mediocre areas. I think when you have a franchise that's endorsed by the NFL to come here, I think Jacksonville's the only one who went against it. I never understood that one, but, I'm saying to myself, this is the game changer. Because I lived through when they used to have out on Boulder Highway years ago, they had the race for the dogs, they had a dog track out there. That never lasted. The casinos never wanted anybody to be out of the casinos, which is why they fought, the train over to California, which we should have had a long time ago,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out they want to do a train to Victorville. Let's go to Victorville for a day.
Yeah,
Really?
I
Makes
get it.
no
It makes
sense. How
zero
am I handling that PR?
No sense,
You'd
yeah,
say, you can't
seriously.
pay me enough to
Right,
sell
I
that, brother.
know. What are you going to do in Victorville?
I mean, really, let's go shopping in
Yeah.
places we never saw before.
TJ Maxx,
But I
please.
just think that they see it's a melting pot, and there's people from all over the place. I think hockey, because there's a lot of Canadians here, a lot of hockey fans here. But I interviewed the first season of the Property Man show I have on Fox. I interviewed a gentleman that basically opened up T-Mobile and MGM and all that. And I said, hey guys, have you ever been like about 5 o'clock on Friday afternoon going north and trying to get off Tropicana? What are you going to do with traffic?
Yeah.
man?
What are they going to do?
Oh,
about
we haven't
traffic?
figured out. I says, you do? Well, okay. What are you going to do? So I think about, could you imagine? Now, isn't it true? Like if you leave at 10 or 11 o'clock on Sunday morning to go to L.A. or
Yeah.
San Diego, it's 10 hours,
Yeah.
8 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
could be.
easily.
What are they going to do with an afternoon game on Sunday afternoon going to L.A.? You know what? They're going Monday. Everybody's calling in work.
I'm
then it's
going to
still
ride
gonna
my
be-
bike. That's all I'm saying. I'm just going to ride my
No,
bike.
you're right. I mean, it's
seriously.
crazy. So, I mean, and I agree with what you, and I want to know why you said that about maybe, because I feel the way you do. I'm not convinced
Not.
that
Why?
this is a, now tell me your thoughts. I want to know that, because that's very interesting.
Look, I think all along, the Davis family has shown a propensity to go with the best deal. And nothing's in concrete yet. Nothing's in stone.
That's true.
There's still a lot of things that have to happen
To make it
before
work.
this all falls into place.
Yeah.
I could very easily see this falling apart. It would not surprise me in the least if it fell apart.
Well, we're contributing, what, $750 million in public funds toward a $2 billion stadium.
Yeah. That's a good
My
one.
sound effect machine, which I love. So, I mean, I guess my question is, who wins in this scenario? I mean, that's a lot of public
Well-
funds, and this one has some arguments when it comes to using public funds for a stadium. So,
Yeah, I agree with that.
yeah.
I'm not, personally, I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's ridiculous. I mean, I think the restaurants win and the casinos win because, and property values will go up. I told you, hotel condominiums on the Strip, they're going up already. Just because of the announcement, again, assuming it happens. What bothered me the most is when they snubbed Mr. Adelson and didn't even show him the contract. And I thought, you know what, if Mr. Adelson dumps out of this deal, there's something there that we don't know about that makes me does not make me comfortable with this whole deal, and I'm concerned about that. And so as a result, I realize it's going to bring a lot of jobs and that kind of thing, but it's, I'm concerned about them coming here and the effect on traffic and the economy and things like that. The only good news is it's 8 games, out of the year, as opposed to hockey's. How many games do they play?
I'm not a big.
I'm not a hockey
Yeah,
guy
yeah,
either.
it's
like
Probably
40.
40 something.
They play
Yeah.
that many?
Yeah,
Wow.
they do.
Oh,
Yeah,
they
play
play
a
a
lot
lot
of
of
games.
games.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, they do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but, listen, people who are in business here and restaurants on the Strip and all that, they love it. They love it, but I don't think that's, the
But-
public funds makes me sick. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
listen.
Well,
You want me to go off?
Yeah, I do
Yeah,
want
I'd
you
love
to
to
go
hear
off
you.
because
Yeah.
you have some really solid arguments as to why. I mean, when the announcement came, I personally thought, well, this is exciting. I feel like we're finally on the map. We've gotten past these hurdles of, we're never going to get a major league team. It's an exciting time for my child to grow up in this city, and so I thought it was kind of exciting. But I wasn't thinking as deeply as you were about. I was just sort of looking at the surface stuff. So I want to hear what you have to say about that.
Let me start with the positive, so I can at
Okay,
least
yeah.
get that out of the way. The thing that could make Las Vegas an anomaly is that it is Las Vegas, and I do see a lot of people traveling to come see their team play the Raiders if they do indeed land here. So I can see it attracting additional tourists.
Okay.
All right, now all that's aside.
Not that we had problems doing that before, but
Well, see, now you're coming back to my territory.
Yeah.
$750 million. Let's just start with that. Makes me sick. We have one of the weakest education systems, at least according to the rankings, in the United States. $750 million. Do you know what that would do for education?
Oh, well, then there's the argument, is the money going to fix that, though?
It's better than doing what we're
Playing
doing.
devil's advocate because
Look, if
I
we're
like
going to
this.
raise public funds,
Yeah.
if we're going to say, hey, let's raise $750 million, schools have been begging for
I'm with
money
you.
for
Yeah.
years
No,
and
I'm
years
with
and
you.
years. And
I'm
like,
with
no,
you.
we don't have it. We can't raise taxes. Oh, a stadium? Football? Yeah, $750 million.
Yeah, suddenly
That's
we can
absurd.
come up with it,
That's
yeah.
obscene.
How could we be last in the country in education with billion-dollar casinos?
Right.
I mean, we should be embarrassed by that.
Yes.
Now we're going to build a $1.4 billion football stadium, and we're still going to be in the toilet. I don't get it.
Yes.
If you want it, use the public funds for the schools, for the kids to, build more schools. Do it. But I just don't. I'm 100% with you.
Yes.
I don't like
the
it.
Raiders should be kicking in to
That's
fund our
no
schools
question
or something
about
like
it.
that. So here's another stat. 31 stadiums in the NFL right now. Of those, taxpayer dollars have funded $9 billion to build those stadiums across the country. And by the way, Las Vegas is funding more than anybody ever has
Sure.
for a single stadium. So you've got that. Now, keep in mind the NFL last year made $13 billion. What in the heck do they need help for?
Yeah.
This is a money grab, plain and simple.
100%.
And study after study by economists. In fact, I read something just today that said 9 out of 10 economists agreed, which sounds like a toothpaste commercial.
It does.
But that stadiums do absolutely nothing for an economy. Nothing. Getting an NFL or big league team does nothing for your economy.
What is your take on that economy piece?
Well, I mean, I think from my perspective that first of all, you have a franchising them coming, whatever it is, I think it's going to be limited to who it's going to affect. It's not going to affect the overall economy in Las Vegas.
agreed.
It's going to limit the casinos and the restaurants. That's who's going to get the benefit of it. And so far as building more homes in Las Vegas, no. We're doing this, no.
What about small business?
I don't see how.
Just the
Oh,
glass.
no, that's okay.
Yeah.
Clean
the glass,
That's
yes.
usually when it's time to go to mass.
Spoken like a
Say
good altar
Mary,
boy.
say Mary.
Somebody says, well, that means we're out of time.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I think I don't think it's going to impact us at all. I think small businesses aren't going to be impacted at all. I don't like the idea. Period. Maybe because I've been here so long. I think it could change the town in a way that I'm not comfortable with. Also because the Rams are not a good team, And because the
Raiders.
Chargers, no, the Rams,
Yeah.
they're not a good team.
Yeah.
And we have the Chargers playing in a soccer field for the next 3 years.
Right.
Okay. They're going to come. They will come in.
Yeah.
So you're not even going to get as many Raiders people as people from say, you know what, Raiders got a good team. We're going to Vegas to watch them.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but the traffic thing to me is somebody's going to explain to me what are they going to do.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's going to be a nightmare.
horrible as it is. Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Here's another frightening statistic. First of all, you have cities like St. Louis that they did everything. They bent over backwards. They
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
raised
Roll out
taxpayer
the red
money
carpet.
to build the stadium for the Rams, who are now in Los Angeles. They will continue to pay to the tune of $100 million for the next, 3-4 years. They're going to be paying money for that stadium that now sits empty.
That's my concern.
Yes, and study after study shows, and this is another really frightening study, when new stadiums are built, or no, I should get this right, when major league teams are brought in, and NFL in particular, to a town, they find that jobs and median income drop as a result. Not as a result. I can't say that, because there's not a direct correlation. There are so many factors that go into that.
Understood.
But across the board, every time. Not just some of the time, every
why
time.
that is. That's so interesting.
I mean, I talked to Steve Sisolak about 2 months ago. He said if the stadium comes between that and the convention center where the Riviera is, probably 23 to 25,000 jobs, creations during that period of time. But the bottom line, and that's great. That's great. The question is, once that's done, then what happens?
Yeah, they're not sustainable.
They're not sustainable. I mean, I'm still not convinced that the franchise here is in the best interest of our city. I am opposed to it for all the reasons we're talking about, particularly the public funds. That offends the hell out of me.
Absolutely.
It offends me.
When you're
you know.
dealing with somebody, this is a behemoth
They're
that
the
makes
largest
more money
franchise
than
in the world.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
They pay him $40 million a year. I don't have a problem with that. Good
Yeah.
all. I mean,
Right. Good
God
for
bless
him.
America.
Yes.
Good for
Yeah.
him.
Yep.
What I'm saying is, but they netted $13 billion.
Right.
We got to come up with the room tax went up 18% also.
Was that? Yeah.
I think it went up 18%.
So why do you think then everyone was so hot on this?
I'm not sure if it was hot or it was the perception of the media that was hot on it.
I agree with you.
You know.
Everybody jumped on the.
Yeah.
There is a euphoria, and
Well,
let me-
it's excitement,
Yeah.
a franchise, Las Vegas football.
and there would be part of me that would be singing. I fully admit that would be singing a different tune if, for some reason, the Dallas Cowboys were moving here, because I grew up in Texas, a
Of
Cowboys
course.
fan.
It's like the Steelers. If the Steelers
Right,
were
if the
there.
Steelers came here, we'd probably be hedging our bets a little bit. So I get it that people are excited. I love the NFL. I'm a huge football fan. I love the idea of going to see a game here in Las Vegas. I think it'll be fun to have a hometown team.
Yeah.
I'm for all those things.
Right.
But to your point, to fund it, that really just makes me sick in my stomach when I think of how that money could be used.
I wrote this down. The New York Times says the Raiders are known for a passionate fan base that delights in a rough-hued image.
That is the nicest way to say it.
Well, let me say this to you.
Well, how do you think
Do you-
public safety officials are going to approach
Do you
this?
think that? I'm a Pittsburgh Steeler fan? Seriously, that I could go there and wear a Pittsburgh Steeler hat?
Not in
and fill
Oakland.
it?
Not in Oakland.
No, and I don't think here. I mean, I don't care. I still think that they'll travel. Now, as it relates to that, you know, I'm wondering. I never heard anything, and I want to ask you this. I never heard anything from our sheriff about this. How is it? What input does he have? Where are we going to get the money for more police officers? Because I have some guys, that, as we all do on the police force, who are saying, how are we going to man this thing?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, what are you going to do?
do you just beef up when the events come to town?
I don't know.
And the same way they do for NFR or anything else that comes to town right now?
Maybe.
If you've got to do
But
that.
where
for
are you gonna
hockey,
put
they
the
have
other
to do
guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what are they going to do? Outsource security guards that are 200
Well,
pounds
it's going to
overweight
increase their
running around?
budget.
or
They're
what?
going to. They're going
gonna have to.
Yeah.
But I
And
never
pay
heard
for
anything
overtime.
from the sheriff during this whole thing. I've never heard anything from law enforcement that says, this is what our concerns are.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, maybe they were just told to be silent. I don't know.
I talked to Oscar Goodman this week. He co-hosted on the show I do on Channel
Oh,
8.
fun.
It was so much fun.
That's great
I
fun, yeah.
absolutely love him.
Love him.
I absolutely love him. Of course, he's still lobbying for the stadium to be
Downtown.
built downtown.
Downtown.
Of course.
And he says it would save all sorts of money and headaches. And of course, he's going to have his
Yeah,
perspective.
as
on
he
it.
should.
Yeah. But I just wonder, is that the perfect location? To your point, the traffic and everything else.
You can't do it downtown.
Yeah.
You got to put it. You have to put it on 15 in Russell area, which is where they're talking. It's got to be easy to access over 15.
Yeah.
Or put it out past the M out in that area
Yeah.
if you have
Yep.
to do it out there.
That would make sense.
You know,
That would
something
make
like
sense.
that. You know,
Yeah.
even state line as far as we have all that.
Yeah.
I mean, something that's. But you know, I got to tell you, I can't even imagine. I can't even fathom in my mind a stadium here with traffic
Yeah.
and traffic going back to California on a Sunday.
Here's another upside, because I bashed on this a lot. An upside is that NFR and
Yes.
the big fights, the big ticket
Yeah.
fights that come around, they have a home now.
They do.
It was Jerry World before that would be the most enticing
Yeah.
in Dallas.
Yeah.
This is probably going to be the most enticing stadium and venue in the United
How many
States.
people would go to an NFR function? How many people will go?
I don't know what the limit is. I guess we haven't-
But I'm wondering, isn't T-Mobile take care of that?
probably.
Probably, but I
18,000.
think aren't they just consistently sold out, and it is a
They
very
are.
hard ticket to get.
Yes, they
So
are.
to increase capacity, I would imagine they're
Because
not.
Jerry
gonna,
wanted the NFR for.
Yes.
I thought we
Did
almost
he?
we almost
Oh,
we
yeah,
almost lost
it.
it.
That's
almost
right.
lost
I
it a
forgot
few
about
years
that.
ago. I think it was
Yeah.
between Florida and Texas. We
Yeah.
almost lost it. So yeah, I mean it's but man, I'm with you. I don't think it's sold yet.
Yeah.
How awkward too that they have to stay in Oakland for 2 more years.
How about that?
That is
and they
really awkward,
I think
right?
they even said that if they jacked the rent up. They said at one point they may have to go to Texas to play.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to
That
do
is
with that?
just so.
But no,
awkward.
imagine,
Yeah.
you're dating someone for a long time. You say, you know what, we're going to break up, but I'm going to continue to live here for 2 years.
Yeah, really.
And you're going to be fine with it.
Right.
And she says, as long as you don't mind meeting my boyfriend.
Before we wrap up, I want
Yes.
to talk a little bit about Distracted Driving Awareness
Yeah.
Month and the issue of cell phones behind the wheel. My husband and I, we just recently drove up to the Clark County Fair. It's about an hour drive, and
Yeah.
I was driving, and he was in the passenger seat, and he said, he remarked, I have never realized, because he's not often in the passenger seat, how many people behind the wheel are on their phones.
Epidemic. The first thing in a personal injury case that I ask my clients, were you texting when this accident occurred? Because if you get in a lawsuit, the first thing the insurance defense lawyers do is subpoena everything in reference to what was going on at the time of the
Oh, my
accident
goodness.
immediately.
Wow.
How many times you're sitting at a red light and it goes green and they're like this?
Yeah.
They're looking down.
Yeah, I just did that the other day.
What
I
they
have to
should
admit,
what
yeah.
they should do, put in a glove compartment. Or what better would be, and I think they're getting to this, maybe they have it, is technology needs to be that once the phone gets in the car, the only way to do this is through GPS or something, text message. Somebody has to do that.
Yeah.
Because, and I'm a sinner also on this.
Yeah.
I try to limit it. I'm not as good at it. But the bottom line is the fact that because of so many bad accidents, because they say in 5 seconds you move 200 yards.
Yeah.
But does the hands-free thing solve this, or?
Well, the hands-free, it just seems like that people are addicted
I know.
to this all
Oh,
the
I
time,
know
even though
I
you have
am.
hands-free.
Yeah.
I told my grandson, who's 11, I said, listen to me. I said, I know I don't know anything. I get that because I'm your grandfather, and I understand that I'm old and I don't know anything. I always used to say, I'm the smartest guy in my house if somebody needs $100. Other than that, I'm the dumbest guy around.
I'll give you a Mark Twain quote in a little bit. Yeah.
But I said, if you ever want to be a doctor, go into hand, wrist, and neck surgery because in about 20 years, there's going to be carpal tunnel, arthritis, and cervical sprain for all these kids because that's the way it is.
Yeah.
And the thing that really drives you crazy is the people that walk in the pedestrian walkways and the kids.
I know.
And they never look up like there's a wall there that they
Yeah.
can get run down and become a hood ornament.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a discipline, but technology is going to have to figure the manufacturers are going to have to figure this out. It's going to cost the consumer more money, but they should have a device in there that when you hit that, you can no longer text or email, and you want to do it, you do it voice activated through that. So
Yeah.
I'm going to email you, just like you say, call this person, it's the same kind of thing, because otherwise, it's bad what's happening.
Yeah.
People are killed, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Remember that movie 7 Pounds
I didn't see
with
it.
with
I don't get out much,
Will
Bob.
Smith?
I don't think I saw
Oh,
it.
so well, you want to go see a movie? Get it called 7 Pounds.
Okay.
Will Smith is wonderful.
Yeah, he's an amazing actor.
This is off the charts. It's the ultimate story, and you'll see it. But you got to watch it, and just get ready for an amazing story. And you'll see why it ended up the way that it did.
Let me ask you this. When you say you immediately ask if they were texting because those records will likely be subpoenaed,
Yeah.
how do you prove that they were texting via their fingers rather than texting through voice?
That's
Voice.
all able to find that out through
Oh,
your
you can.
subpoenas.
Okay.
Absolutely. This way versus voice.
Oh, you're kidding. Okay.
That's how sophisticated it is.
And does that make a difference?
Sure, because if you have it through the voice, then at least you could say that it didn't distract the plaintiff that was injured. If you show this way, you say, well, they weren't paying attention, it could be comparative negligence.
How strictly are these laws enforced in Nevada?
Well, I think it's tough for the cops to
It is.
supervise it.
Yeah.
One last thing, if I may, about small businesses,
Yes.
and I give seminars on this. The biggest area of liability for small businesses and businesses in nature, not just small business, believe it, big corporations, is email liability. The one thing I tell small business owners and other companies I represent is listen to me. If you're going to send a substantive message, you send it or you tell them to show it to you before you hit send. Because in my world, one word changes your world. Email liability. The first thing I subpoena if I'm in litigation on business between members of an LLC, partners, I want every email that went out to third-party vendors. I want every email went out here because I want to see and realtors are the worst at this. Realtors start doing things. And I talk to realtors all the time, and I say, you don't understand that you're modifying a contract that you can't modify because you're not a party to it, but you're sending these things out. Email liability is huge for businesses in this country.
Can I
It's
just
crazy.
piggyback off
I
that?
hope you do.
When we do crisis communications,
There you go.
the first thing I tell everyone is stop emailing.
Absolutely.
Stop.
Absolutely.
Right now. Everything is by phone.
Absolutely.
We're doing phone conferences. Nothing is going to be
Absolutely.
documented like that.
The problem, I read something that they estimate over $3 billion in this country is lost from all businesses because of employees who are on their phones during the work time, on their computers during work
Not
time.
surprising.
And it's outrageous. Over $3 billion in lost time. It's become almost a way of life, but some companies, they want a lot. But you're absolutely right. I had this one case, and I said to this realtor, I said, you send this email and you explain to them that your son got hurt at school today. You have to take your daughter to the dentist. You have to get an eye appointment. I said, what are you telling all these people? They don't care about this stuff.
Yeah. Right.
You know, they put the superfluous things in, or they say something substantive that changes everything about it. It's just, but you know what it is? It's part of the epidemic. We're creatures of habit.
Yeah.
I mean, you go to New York City, watch it, it's crazy.
I can't even imagine.
Oh, no, it's
you can't even
ridiculous.
walk down the street. People are bumping into each other on
Two
the
things
street.
about New
Start
York.
down in
Two
their-
things about New York City. I'm not crazy about it. Two things. Everybody wears black no matter what time of the year. No question about that. It's like they're always at a funeral. Always. And the second thing is they're like this.
Yeah.
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 And they got the earphones and they got the cabs going around like bumblebees that run into people. It's crazy. But it's tough.
If people would like to work with you, Bob, what is the best way for them to reach you?
Very kind of you to ask. My office number is 702-870-1100. My website, which is now just going to be converted,
I think Rich will put it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, Massi.com. My son Robert is with me now, and I really thank you for this. This was a lot of fun.
This was so much
So
fun.
much fun.
You
Yeah.
know, and it's great, and your PR insight's very intuitive, and it's good that you're doing it because these are the things that you have to educate people.
I told Bob this anecdotally. Recently, we've taken on a number of attorneys as well.
Yeah.
And one of the things I heard, and I guess he'd heard it before, is
funny.
Bob is a model of what a lot of attorneys aspire to.
I can see that.
And the first
Yeah.
meeting I had with some attorneys, they said, "Look, we want you to turn us into Bob Massi."
What a compliment.
No, it is. It's
Yeah,
totally a
that's a
compliment.
Well, you know
Yeah.
what's funny about it is when I'm on Channel 5, I do the Inside the Law on Friday evening or Monday evenings between 5 and 6 and Wednesday mornings. I've been doing that for years. Before I'm on, right after, Lawyers Advertise. And I'm saying to myself, they're paying, I'm not.
Yeah.
But I'm giving information.
Right.
And I think
And that's okay.
And again, the marketing
That's okay.
that's a big differentiator too. The giving of information, and that's what content marketing is nowadays.
Isn't
Sharing
it?
information.
I mean, just
yeah.
what we're doing tonight.
Yes.
I mean, you're giving information. I mean,
Yeah.
look.
But you're paying us, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll
She's gonna
send
e-
you the
she's gonna
check.
email- she's gonna email it to
I'll
us.
email it to you.
I think this was the payment right here.
1947.
Hey, I got it at the convenience store. What can I say? Yeah, very nice of me. If people would like to work with you, how would they get a hold of you?
Contact Bob Massi. who's,
Of course, because we aspire to be Bob. Yes. And Rich is going to put that up as well, so that people
That's
can
great.
get in
We'll
touch
see if
with
we
you.
use our new.
There's Bob.
That's not
There's
me.
Bob.
Contact Bob.
Contact Bob.
That's not you. There it is.
So yeah, you can get a hold of me via email, via Twitter. I mean, there's a million ways to get. There's the new logo.
There's the new logo. That's nice.
nice.
Yes.
But Tenney at 10emedia.com
Very nice.
is a great way to get a hold of me. Yeah,
So you come back and co-host?
I love.
This
Of
is-
course,
this
I
is
do
very
anything
fun.
with
You'll
you.
come
It's
back and
great.
hang
My-
out.
my
Yeah,
pleasure
we'll talk
anytime.
about-
It's very
we can talk
kind of
about
you
it.
both.
You can tell more stories because
I
I love your
we
stories.
could listen to
Holy
your stories
cow.
all
Yeah.
day long. Yeah.
Very
I'm actually working on a second book. I don't know if I'll ever get it done. I want to tell the backstories on all the trials I covered. The people
That would be
that would
fascinating.
be fascinating.
Yeah.
And you're speaking this weekend?
Yeah, well, thank you.
Yeah.
On Saturday to Orleans, there's a big thing called Teen Tea, And it's all with real estate. So I'm speaking at 1:30 on Saturday at the Orleans and Sunday. And my son Robert, one of his areas in the area of credit repair, where he's able to look at people's credit reports and things that are reported erroneously, he's able to help them fix that. He's speaking before me, so it's going to be fun. It's on Saturday. The whole function goes from 10 until 6, but I speak, Robert speaks at 1, I speak at 1:30 on Saturday and Sunday at the Orleans.
Great. And you do a lot of Facebook Live as well, don't you?
Yeah, the Facebook Live stuff is like, I never realized how strong Facebook was, really, because I'm a Smithsonian.
Yeah.
And what can I tell you? You know, and I started about 6-8 months ago, and I cover subjects. I covered United Airlines stuff and different things and real stuff, and then but I give people tips. Say, look, this is what you need to do, and it helps people.
Have you been dabbling in Facebook Live?
No, you keep telling me to.
I want you to.
And I need
Yes,
to.
yeah.
I'm inspired by both of you tonight. I'm
it's fun.
so excited that you've turned it into a podcast.
Yeah,
I think that's
yeah.
fun.
That is a great idea.
Yeah,
Good for you.
I'm excited about
You
it
should
too.
be.
Yeah,
You should be,
because it just
absolutely.
allows people to listen to it on the go, and they don't
Yes.
feel like a lot of people will watch the show after the show airs. They don't feel like they have to be here live.
Right.
So I like
Yeah,
the
it's
option
funny.
as well.
fantastic.
It's amazing how 24 hours isn't enough anymore. It's been that way for a long time.
Oh, it's so changed.
The Mark Twain quote, by the way, and I'll screw it up. I'm going to
yes.
paraphrase
Oh,
it.
good, do.
Mark Twain said when he was 16, he thought his dad was the dumbest person he'd ever met. And I think he said when I was 21, he was the smartest guy he'd ever known. He said it's amazing how much the
smart.
old man lived in learned in 5 years.
It's true.
funny.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
Thank you both for being
Thank you
here.
very
This
much.
has been
Thank
great
you. It's
fun.
been wonderful.
Our next show is May 3rd. We'll be featuring a women's empowerment business coach. Her name is Galit Rosen, and she's going to talk about how to make that leap from employee to entrepreneur and how to have the confidence to do it. So we're looking forward to talking to her on May 3rd at 7:15 right here on the Radetich Marketing and Media Facebook page. If you want to continue the conversation, we do have a Facebook group. You can find that at facebook.com/groups/smallbizpower. Feel free to join us there. Sometimes my guests pop in and we have great conversations, and every now and again I'll share a tip. So hope to see you next time, and we'll take you out with the Olympic Garden theme song, apparently.
Sponsored by
Yeah, have any
Olympic
sponsor? I know
Gardens.
who I'm going after. I know what I'm going for. Have a great night, everybody. Good night.
It's so great.